word processing, a lot of word processing and formatting, and that is why it is necessary as a prerequisite to understand Microsoft Word. Now, let me show you a blank page of Microsoft Word. So this is a blank page of Microsoft Word. Can I ask a question? Is there anybody in the house who has never seen Microsoft Word before? So no response. I'll take it that everybody has come across Microsoft Word in one way or the other. Most of us are used to it. Most of us have used it one way or the other. Some of us can type with it, we can print with it. But there are some little tricks to Microsoft Word that may not have been commonplace knowledge for us. And those are some of the things we're about to look at today. So the first thing to know that Microsoft Word is a word processing software, just like the name states, points out. It refers to every type of arrangement you can do with Word. So you can write your letters with Microsoft Word. You can develop essays. You can write memos for those in official capacity. And for our business analysis, everything you want to type or manage typing, you're going to probably do through Microsoft Word or Excel. Someone else is going to take the house on Excel, but an understanding of basic understanding of Microsoft Word gives you a feel for what the entire Microsoft environment and indeed business analysis environment will be looking like going forward. Please feel free to ask me questions as we run through the introductory part of Microsoft Word and get to have some understanding on what's going on. 1 second, please. Yeah, so has everyone here launched the Microsoft Word software before? Yeah? Clarice, have you done that? Who else is in the house with us? Madam Ejiro, is she with us here?
Yes, she's here.
Okay. So have you launched Microsoft Word before? So basically, to launch Microsoft Word, you just go to your desktop. Hope you can still see my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
So
yes.
you look for Microsoft Word. Let me bring it to the middle here. So Microsoft Word icon and double click on it, or you right click on it and then click on open. So this is using the right click option, then click on open, or you just double click and it will launch. Now, this welcome page that it will show you, for learning purposes, we are going to be working with a blank document. So basically, we'll just click on blank document and it will give us a fresh blank document of Microsoft Word, which we can use to do whatever we want to do, any type of word processing we want to carry out. So let's keep to our slide temporarily. So in our slide, we've launched it. Let's go to the next slide and see what's there. So we now know that it's a popular software and the ways to open it. Now, to understand Microsoft, there are some basic elements within the Microsoft environment which I have captured in this slide here. So the things to watch out for in Microsoft Word when you launch the app newly and you have a fresh page is to note that it's divided into layers. So the first layer is known as, zoomed. Let's see everything. Yes. So the first layer, that is my long arrow here, is known as the title bar. So when you eventually save your document that you are processing, it is going to display on the title bar. So the name of that document will display there. For now, it's showing document 1. As we go further and save a document, we are going to see the name that we used to save that document show there. The next thing to watch out for is your menu. There's a line of menus here. You have File, Insert Menu, Home, and all that. Within each menu that you click on, it shows you a drop-down of other activities that can be carried out, or actions that can be carried out on the Microsoft Word page, or environment rather. Then the third thing to watch out for is our ribbon. So the ribbon is an area which is visible. In some systems, the ribbon might be collapsed or maybe visible, but in this case, we are working with it being visible. On the ribbon, you are going to see various options and various actions that can take place. Now, there are so many of them, and we won't be able to exhaust them, not even remotely in this class, but we're going to do our best to touch on those points that will affect business analysis as a field of study. Then the next major thing to watch out for is the document area, or layman terms, we call it the typing area. This is where you do your typing, formatting, coloring, whatever you want to do. And from here, you can print. So it's only what's on this page that is printable or transferable. If you have to transfer something of this document through any media, it's what's on this page that is going to show. Then you have your status bar. So the status bar shows us the some characteristics of the document. Like on the status bar, you'll be able to locate how many words or how many pages that document contains. Those are some of the kind of information carried on the status bar. Then things like zooming and reducing the zoom size and the view, what type of view, these are things captured there. Then under it is the general taskbar of our desktop, which we are used to. So to buttress this point, let's look at our blank page. We had a blank page open down already. We are back here. You can see my screen, right? So let's click inside. Now, before we go further, I want the house to understand that there are two functions of the mouse that are very critical for operating within the Microsoft Word environment. The first function is to point. Does anybody in the house understand what it means to point with your mouse? Anybody? Feel free to speak up. Does anybody understand? Okay. So pointing means you carry your mouse pointer, this little arrow turning around on the screen. You point it at an object and it will tell you, give you a little information about that object. So I just pointed at an object now and it's telling me increase font size. If I point at another object, you see it again, show me font color. That's what that object is. So I'm pointing at something here, it's showing me pick a new font. This is where we change font sizes. So font in Microsoft Word simply means the character of your text. So assuming I want to type the boy is going to school. I can actually change this font type. So the name of this font type is called Calibri. If I were to highlight, please, that's another function we'll look at in Microsoft Word. I can actually change the font type to resemble whatever I want. You can see that the font type is changing in the background. It's looking more like, so let me choose something like this. So for those instances that you've seen some documents with strange looking characters, some might be beautiful, some might be offbeat. This is how they change them, by going to the font character. Very close to it, we have the font size. This is where we check how big or small the character will be. So I can change this to 15, font size 15, and you see that it becomes bigger. I can take it to a smaller font size and let's say 8, and it will become much more smaller. Are we following? Hello?
Yes, we are.
All right,
Yes.
great. So now we know that pointing is an option, which gives us a little information about wherever we find ourselves within the environment of the Microsoft Word page. Now, another thing that is useful is right-clicking. So what right-clicking does for us is it gives us a list of possible options from the point of that right-clicking. So any object you right-click on will show you a different set of options from another particular object. So the more you move around place, we are encouraged to practice after this class. Our slide will be made available for everyone to use as a guide in studying further. So for every move you make, when you right-click anywhere on the environment, even within the computer environment, it is going to give you an option or several options that you can use to do what you want to do. So back to our now back to what we were dealing on. Okay. So back to our slide now. We've noted that there are ribbons, there's a document area, and there's a status bar, right? And then we've also looked at some of the positions that they remain in. Now, so to create a new document, because you may find yourself in a situation where a document has already been created. To create a new document, you just select new from the file menu. This is the file menu we're talking about. All right, so this is our file menu. When you click on the file menu, you are going to see a set of options here. Now, mind you, the file menu is how you control your documents. That's basically what the file menu does. This is how you control your document. So you can see that the first option there, one of the first options there is new. Once you click on new, it's going to give you options. You choose your blank document and you are in. You have a fresh blank document. The home menu here or ribbon is showing us a list of things we can do. We've already done some like working on the characteristics of our text. Then there's something very important here. Look at insert. So insert menu, this is where you get tables from. We're going to retouch on tables. I can see that my time is going fast. This is where you generate tables. And there are two styles of generating tables. You can do it by just inserting from a template-like arrangement where you just calculate how many rows and columns you need and you insert them. Then there is also the function where you can actually draw the table, and this is drawing the table. You draw your table and you give it the kind of design you want. Please, all this action that I'm using is what we call drag and drop function of the mouse. So the mouse, when you use your click button on an object and you hold it down and drag across a region, preferably diagonally, horizontally, or vertically, you are going to have the object introduced. So far, so good. So tables. Now, looking at the functions here, even if you've had your table on it and you've typed something here, you still need to secure your document for future use. And that is where saving comes into play. So there are two types of saving in Microsoft Word. One is ordinary save and one is save as. Can anybody tell me the difference between the two? Someone should try.
When you save, when you
Yeah.
press save, you don't have the option of renaming it, but when you save as, you can name it whatever you want.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So what I want to add to that is this. There is a process. Save as comes before save. Save as is how you create a title. You name your document. It is when you click on save as that it gives you the opportunity to name the document. Whereas when you click on save, save only updates what that document that has already been named. You get my drift? So save is the way you continue to update the document you are working on, which you had named at the beginning. So it is customary and necessary that when you launch a Microsoft Word document, the first action you should take is save, or rather save as. So in a situation where you have not done save as before, and then you click on save, can anybody tell me what will happen?
Again.
You won't get the name of the file.
Come again?
You said you will not get the name of the file when
Okay,
you click
yes,
on save.
yes, you won't get it. Rather, it is going to route you through save as. So we've not saved this before. Look at the save icon here. This is purely save. When I click on it, you see it took me to save as. Save this file. You understand? It wants me to save this file before I can do any other thing with it. So if you have not done save as, and you're going to click on save, it's going to route you through save as to secure that document. Predicated on this, let's look at how to save this with the save as function. Once again, we click on file, and then we come to save as, right? Now, this may look a bit confusing. For those of us who have been using Microsoft Word for a while, we have shortcuts that we generally use to bypass all these long processes. So for knowledge sake, although during the weekend I will update the platform with a list of shortcuts that you can use within the Microsoft Word environment. But for knowledge sake, F12 is the short key for save as. But now, for learning purposes, we are coming through the normal channel. So we have save as. Now, if you watch, let me change my document to Word document. So if you watch this environment, you see I'm pointing at attachments and documents. Can anybody tell me what these are? You're seeing NLUCA Works, HM Corp, ICT training. What are these that I'm pointing at? Do you have any idea what they are?
You have
They're folders.
They are folders.
Oh,
your
Awesome,
folders,
awesome.
yes.
Yes, these are folders. So when you are working in business analysis, it is very crucial that you use folders to manage your documents, because if you don't do that, you are going to have a problem with what we call version control, meaning you find yourself having multiple documents scattered all over the place without understanding which comes first or which is which. That being said, a folder is defined as a named space within a storage device. So folders don't have sizes. They are just a way of labeling an area that, look, oh, these are the type of documents that are here. So if you see a folder that has videos, most probably are going to see videos in that document, in that folder. If you see a folder that is answering documents, you are going to see documents within it. If you see a folder that is having music written on it, most probably are going to see music. And if you see pictures written on it, you are going to also see pictures. Now, when you click on Save As, it gives you the opportunity to create a folder because they know it's important. So the first step we're going to do now, let's create a folder and call it, can anybody suggest a name we can call our folder?
ITC class 1.
Okay, so ITC class 1. Am I right? Okay.
Yes.
So now we have created this folder. So I now need to come down, scroll down and look for ITC class 1 and double click on it. After double clicking, I now come up here and now save, let's just say practice. and I come to the right here, you are seeing save there, right? Click on save. Now, let's go back to our title bar. Can you see the new name of the document here? Are you seeing it? At the top.
Yes.
Practice, yes.
Yes.
So we now know why they call it title bar. When you do save as, this is where it comes to. From now on, any changes I make, sorry, I'm on auto save. Let me remove it. So any changes I make, when I want to update it, I have to come to save. Not save as anymore, but save. But there is another beautiful function with save as. So this document is already called practice, right? And remember we said folders are used to categorize documents. So documents that have to do with football will be in football folder. Those that have to do with writing music scripts will be in music script folder. You understand where I'm coming from? So if in my computer I'm doing ITC work, I will most probably keep them within ITC folder. You get me? Huh? If I'm doing some other type of training, I'll most probably also put it in some other type of folder. So look at something else that we can do with Saver. So this is already practice. Now I have an inkling to create a document that looks or is related to this document, but I want to make some changes without without displacing my old document. The trick to create a new document from an old one in Microsoft Word is to go back to Save As. No need to create a folder this time around. We're already in ITC class folder. So all I simply do, I come here and create and type a new name here. Say classes, right? And click on save. Look at my title bar. What name is there now? What are you seeing there? I believe you are saying classes. Can you guys see classes there?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know what has happened? The original document practice remains intact. And indeed, I can even call it back by coming here. And when you click on file, remember I told you that file menu is used to manage all your documents. You can see practices here. I can still open it. And you see I have practice open down and I have multiple Word documents. So one is classes and one is practice. I can create up to 200 documents like this using this method, even more. All I just simply do is continue saying save as, save as, save as. Now, if I were to delete everything here and click on save, it will update it and this document will automatically become empty. So far, so good. Any questions? Hello? Do we have any questions?
No, I don't have.
Okay. So if we want to access our folders, we simply click on our Word document and then we click on open. You see this word open here? This is the exact opposite of save as. So when you click on open, it gives you a list of saved documents, which you then it gives you a list of documents. It gives you a list of documents saved, which you then use to, you can now click on anyone to open any of them. So assuming I had closed, if I were to close my documents now, can anybody tell me how to retrieve them? Let's close all the Microsoft Word. So all the windows are closed now. Can anybody tell me how to retrieve them? What should I do? Any suggestions?
Simply open the go to the open directory, and then it shows you a list of files you've worked on before.
Okay, yeah. So that is when we launch the Microsoft Word, we can now go to open and have a list of, so this is what they're talking about, don't say. Yes. So if I were to launch Word again, and I go to open, so already it's showing me what's been done before and give me an option of a blank page. Instead of going through a blank page, I just click on classes and it will come. Also, you may not necessarily come through Microsoft Word. You may not need to launch the app. You simply go to where you stored your documents, locate the particular document you are working on, and just click on it. You understand? So if you were to see the document where you saved it and you click on it, then it will automatically open to show you the work done. And if you want to do any more work, it's going to you're going to take it through from there. I know we are pressed for time. There are a lot of things I would have loved to show you, but time is not really my friend right now. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow I'll beg the umpires to give us maybe an extra 20 minutes to revisit Microsoft Word to do one or two things. 1 second. So it turns out there's still one document I should show you. It's coming up soon. Let's see. Oh, pending when the document will come on board, I want to show you guys what a particular document looks like. Okay, we have it inbound. So you can still see my screen, right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
this is a
Yes, yes,
typical
yes.
business requirement document. We call it BROD. So when you are working on a business analysis, you need to do what we call requirement gathering. You need to develop requirements to enable your project to move forward. So you could remember Mr. AB was explaining to us in the last class about as is and to be. And when you are doing this gathering of requirements to know where you are and where you are going to, you probably want to use Word to do the word processing. So there are a lot of write-ups. If you look at our status bar here, you see that this is a 21-page document. When you scroll through, you begin to see that this is a whole lot of write-up and tables here with coloring too. So these are the kind of things that document development that every BA must do. And because of that, Microsoft Word is very, very, very important for us to have a grasp of it, understand it, and be able to work in that environment comfortably. Because the more proficient you are in Microsoft Word, the better you become at developing your requirements for business analysis and doing your doing the foundation work for your presentations. So you can see here we have a table of contents. Table of contents can be developed easily in Microsoft Word. All you simply do when you are through with your document, you simply go to references and click on, enable editing. So when you are through, you simply go to your references and click on table of contents and select the option you want there to generate your table of content for you. Some of us still do it manually. It's not wrong, but there's an easy way for that now. So far so good. Any questions? Or is there an area you feel you need clarification on regarding Microsoft Word?
It's been clear enough.
Clear enough, eh? All right, excellent. So we can see the as is issue here now. If you scroll down far enough, you may even see it to be. So we have benefits, all forms of documentation that you are doing. Eventually, you need to pass through Microsoft Word, and that is why we need to be abreast with it. Our slide, although we didn't use it much because it's kind of bulky, we have 19 slides here. Going through them word for word, time will not permit. So you would need to, I'm going to drop it on the group so that we can access them for further study. Any questions we have after this class can also be placed on the group. We'll attend to them as time goes on. So that's that for now. I wish you guys an enjoyable time using Microsoft Word going forward. And finally, just like every other software out there, at the top right corner, you have your minimize, your medium fit sizing, and then the close button to close your document after work is concluded. You can also have the options of printing. For the purpose of this BA class, we are not going after printing, but that you can print, you can transfer to other environments, you can copy and paste. Copying and pasting is what you do with your clipboard environment here. When I drop the shortcuts for using Microsoft Word, copying and pasting and cutting will be there for us to exercise with and practice. Thank you very much. If there are no more questions, I will sign out here so that we can use the remaining time to attend to another very crucial software. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ise.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Linda, are you set to take PowerPoint?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Linda.
Evening.
Yeah, so can you help me with my slides? Thank you. So before my slides comes up, I'll just make a short introduction of who I am. So I am Linda, and I'm a business analyst. I work currently in Belgium with a telecommunications company, and I don't really have a niche per se as a business analyst. So I tend to support all teams in terms of looking for ways to optimize our value and partnerships with our vendors and our external stakeholders.
Fuck you.
And external stakeholders. So I'm just going to run us through. I'm sure most of us on this call already know what PowerPoint is. So if I have to go through the technical part of it, we're not going to leave here today. So I'm just going to give us like basic tips and basic tips of how to make powerful presentation. And in this class, I'm going to make it very, I'm going to say it in like my day-to-day life as a business analyst and how I use PowerPoint. So you're going to hear it like firsthand from a BA and how a BA uses the tool PowerPoint. So I'm just going to put it up as purposeful and powerful presentation because I think Mr. AB has already covered like the first model and the second and the third model. So we already are aware what we need to do or the things we need to do as business analysts or why we are called business analysts. In my head, in most cases, I call us magicians because every day I work is like a different project for me, and I'm being called and like, oh, Linda, we need to do this. We have this project, we have this problem. Can you give us recommendations? Go through the data, see what you can get from it. So it's more like looking at the Aziz, making gap analysis, and then building up a futuristic solution to that problem. So that's why I call us doctors or magicians, or I don't know what else to call us. So I'm going to just give us tips. And these tips are like tips I use on my daily work or on my job every day as a business analyst, basically. So the next slide, please. Mr. Abraham.
I've since changed it. It's on the
Sorry.
second slide right now. Yeah.
I guess it's my network. So so the purpose of this session, like I said earlier, is just to understand the importance of effective presentations as a business analyst and the principles of powerful PowerPoint designs. And like I said, just to give us tips to align slides with business analysis deliverables. Then I love a very collaborative class. If I'm saying something and it catches your ear and you still need like some sort of clarification to what I'm saying, please just, cut me in or use the raising up hand emojis and stuff like that to just ask me the question. I'll stop and answer you. So for the next slide, and I want us to pay attention to my slide. I will ask questions and just like to observe what you've seen about the slides. So I'm going to ask questions. I love to ask questions. I love a very collaborative class. So please pardon me on that part. So just, pay attention to the slides and just, if it's something new you caught, please, we'll share it and we'll talk about it and we'll brainstorm over it. So first is the role of presentation as a business analyst. Communicating requirements to stakeholders. So I'm sure the word requirements isn't something new to all of us on this call because Mr. AB has told us what requirements, and I'm sure in all of his class he has mentioned requirements. I don't know if someone can just refresh us. And I'm sorry, like I've not really followed the class, so I don't really know the new but Mr. Abraham, you guide me through it a bit so I can just refresh, like have a refresher, and we can all follow up from there what requirement is and what requirement means to us as business analysts. I don't know. Charles? I guess Charles is.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
What do you understand as requirements as a business analyst?
To my own understanding, requirements are the things you need, like for instance, in there's something called requirements gathering before you start whatever project you're working on. So the requirements are the tools or whatever the information needed to get through with the task you're trying to solve.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles. Can somebody help, like, just add a thing or two to what he said, please? Mr. Ishaka, or is
Okay.
it Madam?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, Lillian, you can go through. Sorry.
okay. Requirements, simply put, is a usable representation of a need. In other words, requirements focus on understanding what kind of value could be delivered if the requirements are fulfilled.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're already speaking like a business analyst. So requirements are, I'm just going to break it down to the simplest ways. And like I said, I'm going to use my day-to-day experience on the job to talk about requirements. So you come on a new project as a business analyst, and there's already a problem that's on ground for them to employ you as a business analyst. So first, you need to know what the problem is. You need to understand this problem. And in my company, we use PowerPoint as the central method or the central tooling for documentation. So if you want to find all of our documents, in short, all of the documents, if you want to find them, they're all in PowerPoint. And that's just the system and the way they work. For another company, it might just be different. They might use, like what Mr. Ete just told us now, Microsoft Word. It could be Microsoft Word and some sort of template to fill in those deliverables, like the BRD document, the problem statement documents, and all of that. It could be Microsoft Word, but in my company, we strictly use PowerPoint. So PowerPoint is the document or the tool we use to, put in a business case, put in a problem statement, show the gap analysis, show the ASIS and all of that. We use, what's it called? We use PowerPoint. So the next slide, sorry. The next, yeah. So in this case, when you're being brought in to understand or to help solve a business problem, and now you understand what the problem statement is, you've done your analysis, you've gone to the SharePoint, you've asked for access to their repository. In this case, our repository is Jira and Confluence. You go to Confluence, you read the documents, or you go to PowerPoint, you read all the documents, you understand the problem, you understand the ASIS and the current way of work. The next thing you have to do is to gap analyze. And in the process of gap analysis, you're bringing out some sort of recommendation. And now that's when you use PowerPoint to present these recommendations to the senior stakeholders. It could be your boss, it could be your team members, it could even be the COO or the CEO themselves. So that is why, for me and for any of us on this call, pending where we land ourselves or pending what company we work in, PowerPoint is a powerful tool when it comes to being a business analyst. Because one thing is understanding what the problem is and having an idea. But the second thing is presenting this idea to the senior stakeholders and letting them understand, okay, this is what the problem is, because it shows that you've done your homework, you've done the analysis, and you understand all of these things. Then the next thing now is to, present this recommendation to the senior stakeholders. And for us, when we're presenting this recommendation, we use PowerPoint. So I'm just going to show us like some tips and some ways to make our PowerPoint very powerful, very powerful. So you can also use, as a business analyst, I also carry out workshops. I also do workshops. I also facilitate workshops and discussions. And the tool, like I said earlier, I use is still PowerPoint that I use in all of this. So as a business analyst, you can end up using Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, depending on the tool, Excel as well. Excel is also a very powerful tool as well. that you would use on your day-to-day job as a business analyst. And also, you use PowerPoint to support decision-making processes. So in my team, because we work with partners and we look for ways to optimize our partnerships, we write governance. Along the line, you understand what governance is. And when writing governance, it's not just done by one person, it's done by different teams or different stakeholders writing one document. So you will find yourself as a business analyst also, supporting a part of that document. So, and imagine if everybody's slides are, very concise, clear, and you as a business analyst, you're going there and you're throwing in colors, you're using, bold letters here and using, just using a very confused and messed up slide. It tells the difference, and it makes like everybody in your team will look at you like, where did this person come from, or what's this person doing? So I'm just going to show us like tips and stuff I use. So sorry, Mr. Abraham. So what makes a presentation purposeful? First, just focus on the audience needs. You already understand the problem. Go straight to what it is on your slide. PowerPoint is very, very easy to use. It's just how you use it that is a problem. So that's why I said I'm not going to go to the technical part of it, because it's they have a quite resemblance with Microsoft Word, where you have your file, home, transitions, animations, slideshow. I think I mentioned a few of the stuffs on top of PowerPoint. So they are quite similar to Microsoft Word. You can just navigate your way around it. But what makes your slides powerful is how you throw your message or how you present your message. So don't even go around the bush, just present the problem statement. If you're to make recommendations, for example, or you've done your analysis and you found out that, okay, I've done benchmarking, I've done market research, I've made my analysis, and these are the recommendations I put out there. You will need to put it on a PowerPoint. So just make it concise, focus on the problem. Don't even beat around the bush. Don't even put some story on it. Just go straight to the point and present data with clear narratives. As a business analyst, I'm sure we already understand who our stakeholders are. We have different types of stakeholders. We have two major types, our internal stakeholders and our external stakeholders. If we look at our internal stakeholders, or in short, most cases our external stakeholders, most of them are not even data savvy. They are not tech savvy, I mean. So when you're going to represent like a data on your slides, I'm still going to give us those maybe later, because 30 minutes is not enough to show. So I will still, but the way I love to kind of train or teach is I let you go. Maybe along the line, we're still going to learn more stuff. So there will be assignments that will be given, and I'll tell you to use PowerPoint to make this to do this assignment, and you come to the class and you present this PowerPoint to us, and after that we'll give you our feedback on how we see or how we perceive the presentation. So back to this. So in most cases, when you're making like some data kind of driven recommendations, you have to make it very simple. Maybe by your graphs, I don't know, the person that will teach our tutor that will be teaching Excel might show us some of those the best charts or graphs to use to represent what you're trying to put out there. So be very, very conscious about the kind of charts or graphs you use. That even the lame, sometimes you don't even need to use all of that. You can even use some smart art. I'll also show us that. You can use smart art to make, those breakdown of maybe when you have 3 bullet key points or 3 recommendations, you can just build it up on a smart chart and make it easy that even when a non-technical person sees it, the person will just look at your slide and understand what you're trying to present to them, and they don't get lost at any time of the presentation. And the third one is to define the actionable takeaways for every slide. It should just be concise, very clear. Put it there. Like it should, your slides shouldn't, for me or my experience so far, I think I've seen the crazy side of slides and I've seen the beautiful side of slides. Very clear, very concise, and those were the very digestible ones. Like it was easy for people to just, read through those slides, and the number of people that went through those slides were the main KPIs to see if people really were using SharePoint to go through those slides. Why? Because they were very easy to read. It's something you can read within 5 minutes. You've gone through the slides. So another thing for a business analyst using PowerPoint is storytelling. You need to know how to tell a story. You really need to know how to tell a story. Like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier. You set the context. You define the business problem. Don't dribble around the bush. Just go straight to what the business problem is. Then you present the data. You show analysis with visuals. But when you're doing this, also have it in mind that in that room where you're having your team meeting or business meeting, or there are also non-tech individuals or people that are not tech savvy, that you have to use the simplest of charts or simplest of visuals to show your message or to show your message. Along the line, where I'm going to let us make mistakes and we'll learn from those mistakes. So we're going to make presentations and we'll learn basically from those presentations as well. So deliver recommendations, highlight actionable insights. But for me, one tip I'll give here is when you know you have those recommendations, either you put it at the end of your presentation or at the beginning of your presentation. This tip is one of the best tips you can get. Either you, for your recommendations, use the first slide or the last slide or the second to the last slide to put your key points or your key recommendations or your key takeaways should be at the last. And the last slide could be close with impact, reiterate the value and next step. Always validate, because as a business analyst, you're going to this meeting, you've been given an assignment. Oh, we have a problem. Can you help us solve this problem? As a magician that you are, then you're going in, making your analysis, and you're coming back to present to the team what you found out. You need to make sure that after those meetings, there will be some kind of questions like back and forth. What do we think? There will be some sort of brainstorming in those sessions, and there will be some sort of takeaways and agreed upon takeaways that will be done from those meetings. Always make sure as a business analyst that you kind of validate those things that has been discussed. So it's more of like if I get us correctly, we'll have decided to go with this recommendation, or we feel this recommendation is the best, point, or is the best way to, or is the best solution for this problem at hand. And they say yes, this is what you validate it, and you don't just validate it over the PowerPoint. You can also send a mail to those key stakeholders that made those decisions or that selected the recommendation that you put on the table. Always make sure you kind of reiterate. So when anything comes, maybe after they've selected the recommendation that they want, and you go back and you start implementing, for example, if it's an SDLC kind of project, or it could be SDLC, it could be even any kind of project, basically. It could be optimizing the way of working, it could be production, it could be any kind of project. And in that meeting, they said, okay, fine, I'm going to go with this recommendation, and then you didn't validate it, or you didn't even reiterate those things that they said, and then you go ahead and you go with the solution, and after maybe the first cycle of maybe agile or something, they come back, you come back to them and they're like, no, this isn't what we said, we wanted option B and you went with option A. There is no backup. There is no backup. So this is why it is very, very important to reiterate or validate whatever comes out of these meetings in the case where there is a recommendation that has been selected, or where a solution has been selected and like a stamp of moving forward has been made by the senior stakeholders. And the two ways to do this, you can reiterate in the meeting, because there'll always be backup, because there are people in that meeting that would say, yes, he asked the questions and we said, yes, let's go with this. So it's not his problem. So you see the reason why you always need to validate these sessions. So when you're building your PowerPoint, if there are two words I keep mentioning concise and clear and concise and simple. If you look at, even this is like a class PowerPoint presentation, but it's still very clear, very simple, not cumbersome. Like you don't see a lot of bullet points on each page. It's very simple. That is how your PowerPoint should be. Clear, simple, not colorful, unless you're making a business case for what kind of example can I use? Maybe a child daycare kind of project, then yeah, it's fine. If I don't know if you remember, I said always understand your audience, know who your target audience are, then you tailor your design to your audience. But if it's on a professional setting, just go for clear, concise, simple slides, very digestible slides that even, I'm sure as I'm even talking to you guys have run through this, through what is on the slide already, because it's simple, it's clear and simple. So always go for concise text, avoid clutter, and prioritize your key points with headings and bullet points. And for visualizations, replace complex tables with charts or infographics. I mentioned this earlier, to always put in mind that most of our stakeholders are not tech savvy. So don't go and use very noisy charts, like very I don't know the type of chart I can even use. For example, don't use those kind of charts. You can use a simple table to even explain what you want to say. You can use a simple pie chart, which you can find all of this. I don't know if I have that time, or while in class, while we're making these presentations, I can show us where we can find some tips. So you don't even have to, you can just build these charts on Simple Art. I think I'm correct. Is it Simple Art? You can use this thing. If it's for there are different, Mr. Abraham, can we go leave this slide? Let me show them something on PowerPoint. Just open a normal PowerPoint page. I'll just show them something. But while we're trying to get to this, I'll just ask a simple question. Madam Lillian, yeah, here is fine. Madam Lillian.
Ma.
Yes, sorry, I have to call you again. I'll get used to everybody's name, then I'll call out. I won't wait for anybody to answer the question. So what do you think is the time or the time duration a human loses concentration or loses attention how would I put this question? What is the longest time, or what is the time duration anyone will lose interest on a topic or something or anything? Just guess, make a guess.
Okay, my guess would be 5 minutes. I don't know.
No. 40 minutes.
Can any other person guess?
40.
Mr. Charles, what do you think is the time limit or the time duration anybody would just lose interest?
Probably 40 plus 5 minutes.
40 minutes.
Okay, so humans lose concentration after the first 20 minutes in a meeting. After the first 20 minutes, they're either looking at their phone or checking their emails or doing something else. So that is why when we're making presentations or when we're making slides or building slides, our slides need to be very clear, concise, straight to the point, and simple. Even now in the digital age, I think it's after 3 or 5 seconds they lose interest. So you see why when you're making PowerPoint presentations, you need to be clear, concise, and just straight to the point, or to what you're trying to put out there, or what solution or recommendations you're trying to put out there. Then you make the remaining time quite collaborative. So it's more of like a workshop. You put out the problem, you've made them understand the problem, because there are some stakeholders that will come to that meeting and they don't even know what's happening. Hence the reason why you're just running through the problem statement, then going straight to the solution. In that case, you now put it in the room for them. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Now there is brainstorming. Everybody has to, say something. So now everybody is awake. There is more collaboration. There is more, communication. And you see that you would even be happy and proud that you actually carried out a workshop like this. Hence the reason why I'm saying, if you're going to make slides, don't make it a lot. You get, and if you need to explain to them what's happened or what needs to happen in your slides, you can make links. I will show us that in subsequent class. You can just make links. So in my company, the way we do it, so for all of those documentation of all of those deliverables in PowerPoint presentations, we make those ones where you need to understand why this project has to happen in the first place, why you need to do this and do that, why this happened in the first place, and why you feel this solution is the best solution. You can put a link to those documents in your slide. So you can just put at the end of the slide that if you need to, understand more or digest more, please just, click the link and it takes you to the SharePoint or to the repository of where this document, of where the ASIS document is located. So it saves you the time of going back and explaining how, the house was built and stuff like that. So what I wanted to show us, back to what I wanted to show us is Mr. Abraham, can you click, is it animation? Because I can't even see it on this one, what I'm trying to show, where you can see the smart art or something. Design, is it design? Yeah. No, check design. No. No, it's not here. Yes, click on that, please. But it's going to take me away from my, yeah, I just wanted to show us this. So with this, you can just make simple designs, like processes. You don't have to go and import the process map you drew and the whole process map and bring it to the presentation for your stakeholders to see. A lot of them are not tech savvy. Most of them are not tech savvy. So use simple process maps like this. You can use, if you click on the process, you would see it. You can see simple process, flow diagrams. You can even use flow diagrams here and use all of these to make your slides easy and digestible, because that's the most important key for your stakeholders to be able to understand what you're giving out there. So I'll just run quickly through my slides because, like I said, 30 minutes is not enough to, show us all of this, but I'll avoid repetition. Mr. Abraham, if you can just run through the next one. Yeah, use a professional. Sorry, I need to say something about the previous slide. So if we look at the last bullet point, it says consistency. Use a professional template and aligned formatting. I had to talk about this because, like I said, I'm going to use my day-to-day work experience to explain or to take this class. So for my company, we already have a template. We already have a professional template for the company. So whenever I want to make like a PowerPoint presentation or I want to present some sort of insights to the bigger team, I always make sure that I align to those formatting. Even in, I think Mr. Efe was showing us something about Calvary and stuff, all those fonts. So for when you go into a company, always make sure you find out about those things. These are, when you enter a company for the first 3 months, I don't know the word to use, always, try to find out the company way of working, the approved or professional way of or way your company works. You find out all of these things. For my company, for example, we have an approved font we use. So when you're making this presentation, especially to external stakeholders, you have to use those fonts. You don't just go and use Segona. Is it Segona? For example, I'm just using an example. You use Segona. Maybe I like the way this font looks. When you make those presentations, you look like a weirdo, for real. So you need to understand what font or what approved font your company uses. Then let's say your company doesn't use the font, you can ask your boss, or just when you go through the SharePoint, when you go through the repository, you see like the aligned or the normal or the ways they do their slides or produce their slides. You just go on with that way. There's also something I wanted to share with us where you can use an old slide and kind of add it to your current slide. But I don't know, there's no time and I'm against time. So maybe when we kind of make assignments and you have to make some sort of presentations and present to us, I can, before that, while we're brainstorming on it, I can just show us these tips and tips on how to import already used documents. So even when you go to the SharePoint, you can see maybe when they were talking about the ACEs of the problem statement, you can just go to that document and reuse those slides. So you don't even have to do too much work. So you can just reuse those slides and put it in your own slide. And you see, you save time. And these are documents that they're already used to. They know those documents. So when they are seeing it, it's easy for them to understand it. So you're cutting time and you're making it digestible for your stakeholders. So always ask for the company's template. So I think we've repeated this, so we can just, I don't want to repeat anything again. We can just go to the next slide. I'm just going to pick one thing here, which is the second bullet point. Stick to 3 main points per slide. If you look at my slide, but I was going to ask you guys at the end of the class what you took out of my slide. But for this slide, I used 4 points. But if you can use 3 points per slide, just go with it. It makes it digestible. It makes it easy on the eyes, and it makes it, even your stakeholders, even if it's the CEO, even if he has to look at his phone for 5 minutes, for 2 minutes he has read what you've written on that slide. He takes a good understanding of what's on that slide. So don't put like 5-7 key points on a slide. Always, you can link it, put a link to that slide, and always ask them to go back. If you need more clarity, please reach out to me. I can send you more documents, that can help you understand better what we're talking about. It's easy as that. Or put a link to it. Just use only 3, stick to 3 main points. If you're even going to give a recommendation, I've never seen where somebody gives like 4 recommendations. You can just give 1, 2, 3 recommendations, and that's it. Put it out for them to make a selection of what solution they best want to take. We can just run through this. I think we're against time. So like I said, I would give us more tips and tools later of what, like I already showed us one, smart art. So there are icons, there are more transitions that can make your work smooth and get your audience while you're making presentations. If you noticed, the slide where I was like, Mr. Abraham, can you click on the next box? I didn't put all my points out there because I don't want you to read through it. I want you to engage with me. Hence the reason why I didn't put that point out there. So it's like a transition, and it was wave. So I put the first one out, I talk about it, then I put the second one out and I talk about it. That way you're following me and you're understanding what I'm saying. So these are the tips we can use as business analysts to make powerful and purposeful PowerPoint presentations. I think is this the last one? Is this the last slide? So I think, yeah. So our key takeaways are purposeful design communicates better. So like I said, you might have the solution. You might know what the best recommendation is, but you might not even know how to present it to the senior stakeholders. And if you can't present these things to the senior stakeholders, I don't know, you can't be a business analyst. So even from this class, you might understand the broadness of being a business analyst. But if you can't present it, sorry, I don't see you retaining that job. It's not possible. Also, visuals make data actionable. So go with easy digestible visuals, easy digestible charts, even for a non-tech savvy stakeholder. When they look at the chart or look at the infographics that you're using, it's easy for them to understand. And tailor your slides to your audience. Like I said, it depends on where you're working. If you're working in, let's say, a child daycare, you can use colorful slides. If you're working in maybe a yogurt or like what can I use? You can use colorful slides. But you're working, some companies like my company now, we use only white and yellow. You know that, okay, yellow and white are the colors of this company. You stick to those colors when you're making your slides. And the last thing I would say for us to understand that is, as a business analyst, data tells a story, but your slide brings it to life. So you can go and make analysis, understand it, but you would have to present it to a larger group. In most cases, your boss can even, I've worked in my company, say 1 year now, and my boss was on leave, and I had to make that presentation for him to the larger stakeholder. And it was nerve-wracking, but I was like, you know what? Let me build my slides, make it easy and concise, and drop what I have to drop, or drop our recommendations I need to do. And that is, in most cases, you might even be presenting to external stakeholders, senior stakeholders, COOs, CEOs. So you always have to be clear, concise, and simple. Understand the problem and what the recommendation or what your solution, your proposed solutions are. And then you leave them to deliberate and look for the best solution that works for them. So I think at this point, I don't know, I'm just going to ask us if we noticed anything in the slide, if it was easy. I don't know if I was speaking too fast, or there are other things we would like to hear, from coming from a business analyst herself. Just, put off your mic and just, I think for like the next 2 minutes, let's just brainstorm and talk about it, if that's okay. Lillian, you can open the floor first, and every other person can just go with it. Ejiro, sorry, you raised your hand. Sorry, I couldn't see this. Mr. Abraham, please, you just need to watch, but I know you're the one making the presentations and stuff. Like when people have their hands raised or something, we can just cut in and listen to what they have to say. I don't know, Ejiro, do you still want to talk about why you have your hands raised? Okay, I don't know if. But anyways, Lillian, can you just quickly? We have 1 minute. Can you just quickly? I'm sorry, I took a bit of the time, but these are really like important. I wish someone told me all of this, before I was on the job or something. But these are like good tips we need to know to be successful business analysts, basically. So Lillian, please.
Okay, Ma, thank you so much for this insightful session. It
You're
was
welcome.
quite clear, yeah, and straight to the point. Like the concise and being clear you were talking about, you actually applied both of them here. Yeah, one thing I picked or I made on my mind that was really important is you talked about that humans within 20 minutes they lose their attention span is 20 minutes, they lose
Yeah,
interest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I just told myself that your intro is very important when you're making a presentation
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, you need to make it catchy. You need to, with your intro, get the attention of your audience.
Yes.
Else, if you lose their attention at the beginning stage, I
Mm-hmm.
think gaining it back might not be so easy. That's
Mm-hmm.
my own from the whole lecture.
Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome. You're very welcome. Very, very. And I'm glad you took that out. That's why I said, and it's what you just said now is very powerful. Hence why I said if you need to make your recommendations, either you put it in the first two slides, or you put it somewhere at the end. So it depends on how you can carry your audience. So you will
you.
just so it's still understanding your audience, knowing who they are. You need to understand your audience and know who they are. Then you know where to channel those key points and know how to drop the point to engage them, to keep them, interested to hear whatever you have to say. So I don't know, Mr. Abraham, I don't know if anybody has anything to say again, or Mr. Abraham, I'll leave it because it's already a minute over the time I said I was going to be done.
Thank you very much, Linda. I don't know. Do we still have questions to ask? I think I have one myself. Okay,
Okay.
you said it's important to stick to 3 main points per
Yeah.
slide.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there are some times where, maybe what you want to talk about, yeah, actually more than 3 points. Let's say we have 5, 6 very, very important points that you really want
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
So do you have to extend it to another slide, or you can just build everything in one slide?
From
As in,
my
does it really change anything? Does it really?
when I say sticking to 3 slides, 3 key
3
points,
point, yeah.
it could be business recommendations or business solutions. You can't come and give them 5 solutions to a problem. It could just be 3 solutions, and you can
Okay.
just put them on the slide. Then if let's say you're talking about this whole stuff depends on the context of what we're talking about, or what the project or what the presentation is all about.
Yeah.
If you're talking about maybe key points or key, that's why I said always have a link to the bigger picture, to the bigger document. Don't put everything out there. The concentration span is it's so low, and in the morning people have to just keep chugging in coffee to be awake. So you just have to be very conscious of, depending on when your presentations is as well. In most cases, always in the morning. People are struggling to still, be in the working mood. So it's quite challenging at that time. So you just have to be very conscious. Don't give them 7 points, you know. You can always give them a link to where the main document is and be like, oh, you can, you know, read more. Or another best tip again is prior to your meeting, post your meeting, you know your audience, you know your key stakeholders are coming for that meeting. Send them a pre-read. This is the best tip you can ever get. Send them a pre-read of what you'll be talking about in that meeting. So you see, in this way, you don't have to put 7 points on your slides because
Yeah.
you send them a pre-read. You get?
Okay.
So you can
Yeah.
just put few points and now throw in the other points, like, oh, Mr. Sampson, in the pre-read you saw the other, yeah. So what do you think? They will read it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
will collaborate with you. So you don't have to make your slides cumbersome. Nobody. I will sleep off. I'll tell you, excuse me, let me go get coffee or something. So just make it easy and send in a pre-read. Always send in pre-reads. If it's something they need to understand, 7 points, 10 points, 6 points, you know, it's not 2 or 3 points. Send in a pre-read before that meeting. So they come prepared. So they come very knowledgeable. So any other thing you're putting on that slide, it's very easy to digest it because it resonates to what you already sent to them. And trust me, everybody reads pre-read because they don't want any question to be thrown at them and they look funny. So
Yeah. True.
always send out pre-reads. Pre-reads, you don't have to do a lot. It's easy. And maybe for those that didn't get pre-reads and they came for the meeting, send it out. Post after the meeting, send them the reads or put a link there that they can still always go back to it and understand what's happening. If that
All
makes
right.
sense.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Do we still have any questions?
No, from me.
All right. If there are no other questions, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Linda, for such an amazing time.
You're
And
welcome.
yeah, and to remind us that there'll be a class tomorrow where we have to continue with the upskilling. We'll take Excel, PCO, and what's the last one now?
AI ChatGPT.
AI ChatGPT, yeah. So we'll be taking the 3 of those tomorrow, and you don't want to miss any of it. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Good night.